If you're a 360 fan like I am, this is one camera you might have been waiting for. This is the all-new Insta360 X4. Now, I've been a big fan of the X3. This has pretty much been my go-to 360 camera since it came out about 18 months ago. When I unboxed it, I was happy to see that the form factor and design pretty much the exact same as the X3. Of course, it is a little bit taller, a little bit wider, and we do have a little bit bigger size here on the X4, mainly because we have a big bump up in specs. We now have 8K on the X4, a nice jump from the X3, which was at 5.7. Now, why is this such a big deal? Well, for the longest time with 360 cameras, we've been stuck at 5.7K, which means that's 5.7K in 360. So when you do reframe your shot, you are really exporting out a 1080p frame. Now, with the new 8K camera, you are now reframing and exporting out at 2.7K. Lot higher resolution, a lot better quality to mix in with your other footage. With that bigger camera, we also have a bigger screen. From 2.29 inch on the X3, we now have a 2.5 inch screen here on the X4. Now, I know a lot of people that use 360 cameras don't really use the screen that much, but I've found it extremely valuable, especially when you're in the field and you want to test your footage and make sure that you captured something, make sure you're able to actually view it on the spot. On the sides, we do have the USB-C port as well as your battery door. And on the opposite side, we have the quick switch as well as the power button here on this side. On the bottoms, we have quarter 20s to hook up to your selfie sticks and all of your mounts. And here on the X4, it looks like we do have a larger microphone on both sides of the camera. Now, when it comes out to sensor size, we have the same size sensors on both cameras. A dual 1/2 inch sensor on the X3 as well as the new X4, and also the aperture size. We're at f1.9 on both cameras. With that slightly bigger size, we do have a little bit heavier of a camera here. The X3 comes in about 179 grams, where here on the new X4 comes in at 204 grams. The one thing I do like about the X3 and also of course the X4, and this is a feature that some of the other cameras don't offer, is you're able to actually use just one lens at a time and it'll record in 4K. So yes, these are 360 cameras. However, if you want to use it as a single lens camera, use it for vlogging and you want the highest quality, just know you can actually use individual lenses here and shoot in 4K. One feature that they introduced on the X3, which I really like, is called Me Mode. And the reason why this mode is so nice is that if you just plan to get something like a selfie, you just want the camera to only shoot backwards and you don't want to worry about any post-processing, having to go into the phone app or the studio app, you know that this is the shot I want. I want to put the camera out there and I just want the shot where it's pointed back towards me. All you have to do is switch it over to Me Mode and those two cameras will now shoot backwards towards the handle. And then when you hit record, you will now have a 4K video up to 30 frames a second. Now, one of the biggest benefits of Insta360 in general is their image stabilization. Insta360 has been well known to have amazing image stabilization, which they call flow state stabilization. When combining flow state stabilization and of course 360 shooting, you are now able to pretty much shoot everything and the software will then stabilize all of that footage. And you also have the ability to keep the horizon locked if you wanted to. That means no matter which way you're turning the camera, you can actually go into the software, hit horizon lock, and everything will now be flat. It'll look like you're holding the camera still, but really it's just a horizon lock feature that these cameras have. When it comes out to photo resolution, the X4 shoots at 72 megapixel, same as the X3. And for those that like doing time lapses, you are now able to do an 11K time lapse on the X4. Now, being an action camera, it's nice to know that both of these can be in the water up to 10 meters or 33 feet without a case. However, if you want to go deep diving, there are cases for both of these cameras. And for me, the main reason why I like carrying a 360 camera in certain situations, in certain use cases, is because if you only have one time to go out there and shoot and you might have a bunch of things happening at once, the ability to just throw up this camera, hit record, and know it's recording everything around you. And in post-processing, all you do is move those frames around and determine which part of that 360 video do I want to view and want to export out. So while they both might be labeled as action cameras, which they technically are, they do sit in different categories as far as use cases go. For me, in my use cases, I like to use this thing when I go snowboarding with my kids, point it out in the direction towards them, knowing it's shooting everything. Because of the fact that they're going to be moving a lot, I'm going to be moving a lot, it's really hard to just focus on a single, or having a single camera focus on them. That's where this thing comes into play. stick it out there, hit record, and know that it's recording, and you can actually reframe your shot later on in post-processing. Now, one of the downsides of a 360 camera like this versus a traditional action camera is that you do have these exposed lenses here on the outside. Now, with the X4, Insta360 is coming out with two different covers that actually twist on, where before you actually had to stick it over the lens. These are removable covers. They come in a standard or a premium glass. And to use them, all you do is place them right over the 360 lens and twist, and there you go. Now, of course, if you want the highest quality image on there, you're not gonna wanna use any cover or lenses on top of them. But if you are gonna be putting your camera in a compromising position where it might get hit with a bunch of rocks or debris, you might wanna pick up these premium covers for your camera. Now, if you're looking at slowing down your footage, like I said, it does shoot at 8K 30, but if you wanted to slow it down, you are able to go 5.7K at 60 frames a second, or 4K 100 frames a second. Or another option is if you jump into bullet time mode, you can now shoot at 5K 120 frames a second. And I really like the field of view on these types of cameras, because when it is out there, you are now able to get full body, versus if you were to do a kind of selfie hold with an action camera, you're really just kind of getting maybe right here, middle chest or waist up. Now, when it comes to battery life, we have here on the X3, this is an 1800 milliamp battery on the X4. We have an F bump up to 2290 milliamps, a nice bump up as far as battery capacity goes. Another feature we have here on the X4 is AI gesture control. So if you are taking a photo or a video around a big group, or if this is mounted onto something like your bike or your helmet, you can actually start and stop recording just by using gestures on the X4. That's something you weren't able to do here on the X3. For those that like editing on the go on your mobile app, the one thing that they did include here was a quick edit function, where now you're able to reposition your footage just by pointing your phone in specific directions. Or if you want a little bit more control, you can pull up a joystick now on screen and move that footage around. Now, when it comes to some of the different types of shooting modes here on the X4, we of course have video, we have active HDR, time lapse, we have time shift, bullet time, loop recording, star lapse, burst mode, interval shooting, HDR photo, and of course photo. The one thing I do like about the new X4 is the UI has been updated a little bit. It just looks a lot cleaner than the X3. I am hoping that they update the X3 to kind of look pretty much like this one. It just looks a lot cleaner as far as the icons go, how the layout is. And there it is, guys, the new Insta360 X4. I'm just glad that they've pretty much kept everything feeling the same as the X3. So when it comes down to use cases and how I handle the camera, it'll pretty much be the same. I just like the fact that they focus on what a lot of people just wanted out of a camera. A little bit higher resolution, or a lot higher resolution. We had out 8K, 30 frames a second, which now allows you to export out those reframed videos at much higher resolution as well. Also, a larger screen here on the front. I like to preview my video and my photos on the spot, so having that screen here is definitely beneficial for how I like to use the camera. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, a big like would be much appreciated. This is Aldrin Stasio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you guys out there with the X4. Take care.